Hello and welcome to another video. This is the Aiwa Minidisc player that I ordered in an earlier video when I was going through the things that I placed orders for in eBay. I'm quite keen to get this open. Inside Out Electrics has done a video on a JVC, and the problem is with these JVCs and Aiwas is they use a proprietary battery. And Inside Out Electrics has got a workaround to it apparently, and I've got an idea for workaround as well. But he hasn't, at the time of opening this box, he hasn't posted his video for his solution to having proprietary batteries which are no longer available. So unfortunately I can't get this thing open. Got a new craft knife as well. I had one from the range and it was rubbish. Well, that was very clever. An alarm went off on my phone and stopped my recording, so I've reverted back to the old pair of scissors I used to use. Let's get this thing open. So this, I think I paid £6 plus postage for this, and I think they go quite cheaply because you can't get the batteries. Oh, here we go. The batteries are proprietary, and they don't make them anymore. So I say they're proprietary. I think they're the same battery in Aiwa and JVC units. So whether Aiwa and JVC are the same company or not, I'm not entirely sure, or used to be the same company. But they look as if they're the same battery. So this is why I'm quite interested in getting this sorted out, because you can get a cheap mini disc player because you can't get batteries, but there are alternatives to those batteries. And I might make this in one video or two videos, because I'm going to order what I think is my solution, my alternative to these proprietary batteries. And I might tack that on the end of this video. I might do it as a separate video, but there's no point in doing that if this one doesn't actually work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it on mains power and see if it works, because the listing, which I'll put a screenshot up of one of the photos in the listing, it said on the screen it says caution, and I don't know what that means, and I should have looked it up but I didn't. I just bought it because I was kind of ordering lots of things at once and I didn't want to do too much research for it, and I thought for £6 and a bit of postage I don't mind being out of pocket, just to have a look at the unit and see if I can get it working, if it's too much of a complicated fix for me to actually do on my own. Sorry, you're not in shot there, are you? There we go. It's a lot of rambling while I unpack this. This is well packed, I have to say that. I think it was a business seller. It wouldn't surprise me. Actually, I looked at the other stuff he had. He had another mini disc player on it. Yeah, there was a dent on that. I knew that was there. He had like a whole different a weird batch of things that he was selling. It was almost like he was selling his own stuff, or it was a house clearance maybe. Yes, I never bought one of these before. It's a bit scratched up there, and some of the words are being rubbed off there. Oh, that's a jog dial. Oh, that's a bit scratchy. Right, let's have a quick look around then. So we've got proprietary headphone socket there and remote, although it will work with a 3.5mm eighth of an inch one, I think it is. Optical line and mic input combined for 3 different things there. There's the power. Has it been dropped? No, it's supposed to be like that. So there's the power we're going to have to put in there. So it's 4.5 volts, and I think, let me just zoom in a bit more. Yeah, oh, it's sensor positive. Yeah, so I'm going to have to check. It's important to make sure that's correct. I think I've got a charger for this, which I'll get in a minute. There we go. Synchro. You're always going to want synchro on if you're doing digital recordings. So line low, high on mic. Okay, don't know what that is. Our eject button and our record and our hold buttons. There's a bit of a dent in the back there. Right, does it open? Yeah, let's have a quick look in there as well. Okay, so right, so let me get my power supply and set it to 4.5 volts, and then we'll see if this works. Right, so this is a power supply I use for, it's a 12 watt one, so it should provide enough amps at 3 or 4.5 volts. And 3 volts is what Sony ones use, and this teeny little tip here, but that comes off, and you can switch it around for positive. I think you can have that for positive or negative polarity. So I just need to find the replacement tips for this and find a tip that will fit into that hole there. So I'll be right back. So there we go, on I organised. So I think on this one you can't reverse the polarity of it, it's all sensor positive, which is what we need anyway. Right, so we found the right tip for it, and we need to pull this off. Yeah, it's keyed and you can't turn it in the other way. I've got another one which is a higher power one, and then you can just reverse those around to get whichever polarity you want. And then we need to use the special key there. Oh, that's not the key, is it? There's the key. Or a screwdriver, basically. So put it on 4.5 volts. You'd be better off using a screwdriver. There we go, so 4.5 volts. Just check that is correct. Where's it gone? 4.5 volts. Let's plug it in and then I'll switch it on. Right, so that's plugged in, as the mains is switched on. No signs of life yet. Ooh, that does not sound right. That move? I think that's moved. So, right, let me get a disc. Let me get my demo disc out. Pop that in there. Pretty sure it's not supposed to sound like that. So this is why I haven't ordered the batteries yet, because there's no point in ordering the batteries. I've got to order 4 batteries and an adapter, that's hard to say, and I think the whole lot comes to about nearly £20. But first thing I've got to do is fix this. So let me get myself more comfortable and we'll have a look and see if we can effect a quick fix on this. First thing to do is get rid of the power. Now what I suspect has happened here is I should have get my light. I keep thinking I've got to get my lights, but we'll see how we get on without them, mate. Inside that you can see the laser assembly just in there. And my guess is the lubrication on it has dried out and it's stuck. And what you can hear when I start that is, when I start the player, is the worm gear at the back slipping. So I'm going to try and keep it in shot. Let me put some lights on. Now my phone was overheating as well, so I thought I'd get my lights out and let my phone cool down for a little while. So what I'm trying to focus on is the laser assembly. There we go. And what I'm going to do, which I would not recommend you do, is I'm just going to push it along with this letter opener here. I'm going to move that to the end. There we go. What we'll do is we'll close that up, plug this back in again and see what happens. So it has moved back. So it moved from the right hand side to the left hand side, but I don't think that's going to have made any difference then. If it was stuck, it wouldn't have moved back. Okay, is there any evidence that this has been opened up by anybody else? Sorry about the phasing effect you've got there. It's because the 50 hertz room lights we've got here interfere with the 30 frames per second camera setting. I might change it to 25 frames per second, see if that makes a difference. Well, I'll do that while I think about this. Yeah, I don't have a 25 frames per second setting on my phone. I've got 60 or 30, so right, let's turn the lights off then. There we go. Right, so what I'm going to do is take the lid off. I've never taken one of these to pieces, and I've never seen anyone take apart an Aiwa one that I recall. I probably have, but I don't remember seeing it. Now, no doubt there'll be a ribbon cable, probably in here somewhere, where the controller board attaches to the main circuit board. So let's see if I can get this out now. Yeah, I can feel a cable. Oh crap! Right, time for the lights on. Mind your eyes. Right, so this isn't going to be a quick job, is it? I thought I might be able to do this quickly. Right, so in there, let me figure it out first. Oh, there's a ribbon cable. Right, okay. Right, you can see that cable there. I'll just point to it again. Let's focus first. In there, that's for the control board. But I don't know how to get to it. My guess is it will be on the bottom part. I wasn't planning on having a massive job like this. It is 9:30 on a Saturday night and we're all going out early on a Sunday, so might call a halt to these proceedings and do them another time. See how far we get though. And there's some telltale corrosion in there. I don't know whether you can see it, which isn't on there. So my guess is that's someone's cleaned it up. It wouldn't surprise me if someone's... Oh, there's a longer screw there. So a longer screw came out from by the battery door. One benefit of recording everything you do is you know where the screws go back. Those two are longer too, so those two long screws, oh God. Right, so those two screws there, that one and the one at the back there, are longer than these ones here, but not as long as that one I'm stuck on the end of my screwdriver. And the long one came out from there, and the next longer ones came out from there. Oh, right, okay. Interesting. Okay, let's take these room cables out then. Probably do this one in two parts because I'll need to refer to the video on one before I can put it back together again, I think. It's ready to come out, but that's too long to fit through there, so let's figure this out a bit better. Okay, pay attention. Invisible laser radiation when open and interlocks defeated. So don't power this up without a mini disc in it. That's weird, it says there laser aperture. Right, now don't quote me on this, but I think here, that little pin there, let me zoom in. That little pin there is the disc detection sensor, and that is the door detection sensor. Anyway, right, we are a little bit better off in that we can see the laser assembly. So this is the record head, that's magnetic, and then when I think this bit slides forwards or backwards to lower the record head onto the disc when it's recording. It's heated up by the laser underneath, and the record head operates magnetically to record the new data on it. Right, so, okay. So let me have a think about this. What I think I'm going to be doing now is putting this back on into the ribbons there, but leaving it off, because that would normally be there, and then put the disc in and see what happens. So let me have a think about it off camera for a second. Actually, this is quite interesting because contrary to what we see on a Sony Minidisc, the Sony Minidisc has a worm gear at the back which makes the sled travel backwards and forwards, the laser sled. This one doesn't, this is just the guide. And then the worm gear must be under there somewhere, but we can't see it, which makes lubricating it quite difficult. It's underneath this metal panel, and it might be... Oh look, there's the motor. So there's the motor that would operate the worm gear. Oh, you can just see the worm gear through there. See it in there? That white worm gear. That spins round and moves... Oh, hang on. That spins round and moves the... must be geared all the way from over there. That's a long way to go, isn't it? So there's the motor pointing with the gear that way. Maybe I'm wrong on that. In any case, I think I need to lubricate that rail to get it to work. So let me try and figure this out off camera. Okay, in there we can see all the gears. Just if you look down there, you can see at the end of my letter opener, is some of the gears responsible for making so that the motor is the axle for the motor is pointing in that direction out of the motor. So maybe that's the spindle. That feels nice. Alright, let me see if I can figure this out. Right, it didn't seem to make sense to me that this motor here and these gears here would move this sled. I think there's something to do with the lid release mechanism. If the TOC hasn't been written, that motor there prevents the lid from being opened before the TOC has been written. So what I've found is going right down in here, what I suspected was that this rail should be a worm gear. On a Sony, the worm gear is just about there. But that's just a rail here. But if you look way back in there, right underneath, I'm going to try and get this a good shot for you. There you go. Let's get it in the centre of the screen and see if I can focus in on that. There's that worm gear right at the back there. And that gear is this motor here. So can we see in here? Okay, so do not, I would really recommend you don't do what I'm doing, because I've had the lid off. These two sensors here, one there and one the other side just in there somewhere, tells it whether there's a disc in. So you can slide the disc in. Now you don't want that laser. Some people say it won't hurt, but that laser you don't want to be shining in your eyes. I don't care what other people say, you don't want it shining in your eyes. With the disc in, I'm somewhat protected from that, but I'm being really careful not to get any direct eye contact with it, because if those that say it can't hurt you are wrong, then we could end up blind. So I'd rather be extra cautious. Anyway, if you do have the cover off, the back cover, that there is the detector whether the lid is open or whether the cover's off. So anyway, I think in here we have a motor, and then in there, I can't see anything in there, that's where the gears are for this laser sled, and you can actually see it quite well there. God, are they stripped off? Now that looks all mungy, but I can't really get in there. So I'm just going to get my lithium grease out and do my best to run some grease in there somehow. There'll be a sled on the other side somewhere that we can't really see from here. But anyway, I'm going to try and grease it and see if I can free up this mechanism, because I think that's what the problem is, because when it does spin into life, you can hear it vibrating. It could be that gear has been stripped. Oh look, you can see it quite well there. It looks all right to me. But I can't. I'm having trouble focusing because it's. Let's try and zoom in a bit more. There we go. Could be that the gear's been stripped. Anyway, I'm going to try and lubricate it anyway with a little bit of lithium grease. I'll see if I can catch it on camera. But I've got to get the grease out first, so 1 second. Okay, the quality of the picture is not going to be very good, but here's because I'm zoomed in 5 times on my 3-year-old phone, 4-year-old phone maybe, 3-year-old phone. But that is the gear that I've got to try and lubricate. And I can't find my favourite plastic toothpicks, so I'm going to have to go with a wooden one. So I've got my lithium grease. Off camera you can't see it. I've got some lithium grease which has got a big nozzle on it. I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on the end of this toothpick here. There we go. Can you see that? There we go. It's probably too much actually, but I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to actually get in there. So the problem is I can't see around the camera and the light into in 3 dimensions. I can get 1 eye in there, not 2. So let's see if I can see. bit of a burn of cribbings here. I've got grease where the grease don't belong. Right, so let's see if we can get this grease in here onto the worm gear without getting it anywhere else. Fail. Got a bit in the right place, but can't quite get in there. Yes, I can get in there. Right, hang on, let's try this again. Now, the more technically competent among you will be laughing at the moment, saying, why didn't you go in this way? Right, okay, let's throw that away. Right, I'm going to just put a little bit on the on that rail there, which you can't even focus into. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is just manually move the laser sled one way and the other. So just need a little bit of grease on the actual moving parts. Don't know whether that's going to make any difference, you know. But we'll have a go. Unfortunately, in the process of doing this, I pulled one of the cables out and they're quite hard to put back in, so I'm going to do that off camera. Do I want to thread them through? I might actually thread them through, because if what I've done is good enough to fix it, then I don't have to undo them again and thread them through again. Let's just have a closer look at that laser lens there. Okay, I'm going to have a little look to see whether there's anything else. There's a hole here. Right, why would this hole be here? Because when I move the laser sled, it becomes visible, that hole. There we go. See my hand underneath it? Why would that be there? They don't put holes in circuit boards for no reason. Don't know. Anyway, I'm going to try and put it back together. I might do that off camera because it's a bit fiddly and I don't want to be swearing at you. Actually, it's not half as fiddly to get those in there as I thought it would be. But the thing is getting it round this black wire here. There we go, so it's quite easy to put those through. Putting them in is not so easy though. Actually getting them connected up is not so easy. So I'm just going to put the lid back on there at the back and try and get both of these in. Forgive me if I get my fingers in the way of the camera, in the way of the recording. It's quite tricky to do around a light and a phone tripod. He says, making it look easy. Now that one there has got famous last words. That one there has a pad on it, but you can't get to the pad from this angle. Let's open those up. I think that's in, so I'm going to close that down. Right, okay. Okay, right, so I think we're getting there now. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, power supply goes in there. Disc goes on here. Still doesn't like it, does it? Okay, we can see through this hole here the laser assembly. Oh, that's clever. So that there is the lid closed latch. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. There is the lid closed latch. So I'm going to press the play button now. I'm going to have a look through this hole. We see it vibrating. I'm pretty sure that's that is moving. Just out of interest, that is the record switch. So I think it's something to do with that. Ooh, can we see in here? Right, so I've manually moved the laser sled, all the way to the outside, and when it's ready to read the disc, it will read the disc from the inside out. So if I've got the disc in, you might be able to hear it when I close the lid. The sled does move, then we get that vibration. So see if you can listen to this. Oh, hang on a second. Right, let me prove that that is what's actually happening. Oh, shut up. Right, so I'm going to manually move the sled across. Be careful when you're doing this, you don't want to be touching the laser lens itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid down, we'll hear it whiz across, but I'll stop it before it gets to, before it starts buzzing, vibrating, and that will show us whether the laser sled is moving to the right position, and that knocking is not anything to do with the laser sled. So here we go. Couldn't do it quick enough. Let's try again. What I'm probably going to do actually is kill the power and just pull the power out first. Right, let's give you a bit better of a shot here. So the power's out. I'm going to put the power lead in and we'll listen for it, and I'll try and pull the power lead out before it makes that vibrating noise. There we go. So we had a bit of the motor noise there. Now when we have a look, yeah, that laser sled has moved slightly. Let's do it. It might even work without a disc. Yep, there we go. So it's not that. That laser sled moves before the knocking sound. So, racking my brains, somebody once said to me, oh my word, who was it? It was someone really smart. SGM4306 or someone else said to me in a comment that there is a micro switch which detects when the laser head is in its leftmost position. So what I think is happening is the head moving across that worm gear and that guide is working absolutely fine, but it's not detecting that the laser sled is getting to the left hand side. There's some other switch there that gets stuck. I've just realised I've got an adult beverage there that I haven't even touched. I'll edit that out. So yes, I think that we've got a problem with a micro switch somewhere that tells the laser sled that it has reached the left hand side, which means I've got to take those freaking cables off again. Alright, let's have a look for that. And my battery's flat and my light. Really need to do this shooting in the daylight. Okay, I found it. The switch I'm talking about, which I never even noticed was there, and I hope I remember the name of the person who said it, is that there. So as the laser sled moves across there, it activates this sensor, and then that tells the player that the head is all the way over there. And I don't know why that's not working. Having said that, these sensors, these switches, are the same. They're based on the same operation. So I've got to try and figure out what it is. It might just mean I've got to put some contact cleaner in there. So let me try and have a closer look. Okay, so I'm trying to have steady hands here. Right, so there's one of the switches. That's the switch to say whether the lid is closed or the cover is on. So there's the two contacts there. And somewhere inside here, it must have an electrical contact, but I can't hear one. Oh, hang on. No, I can't hear or feel an electrical contact in there. So what I'm going to try and do is put some contact cleaner in there somewhere. It's the other side of that board, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm going to try and put some contact cleaner in there. Unfortunately, the bottle of contact cleaner I've got is absolutely massive compared to everything else that's in this Minidisc player. I really need something much smaller than this. Oh, here we go. I'll try to squeeze it really gently. Oh, I think I did it. Hope you didn't get all over the head there. Right. Don't know whether you saw that or not. Right, so let's depress this a few times. Alright, time to put those ribbon cables back in again. Okay, ribbon cables put back in, front panel put back on but not screwed on. Power. Okay. Here we're moving, but we're not getting that horrible noise. Also could be a problem with this ribbon cable, because behind the ribbon cable there's a little white pad which helps you put the ribbon cable in. There isn't one on the blue ribbon cable, and I knocked it off getting it through the hole there. So it could be that the ribbon cable is not working properly, or it's all sticky. So let's see if I can repair that. Let's unplug it first, I think. Yeah, so this little white pad, I think is designed just to help you get it plugged in. It's sticky, that's the problem. But getting the cables out through this gap, I managed to knock that pad off. Right, I can hear something moving. So let's manually move that laser head over to the right again and see if it moves all the way over to the left and stops. Yes. So it moves all the way over to the left and stops. Doesn't give us that noise anymore. But something else is going on because it's not playing the disc. Right. Okay, I'm going to give up with the recording for tonight because everyone else has gone to bed. We've got an early start tomorrow. I'll have a little fiddle around with this before I go to bed. See if I can figure out what's going wrong with it now. And I'll catch up with you. It won't be long for you, but it'll be a long while for me. Okay, so it's 4 days later now. I continue to try and troubleshoot this. That little white pad that I'd taken off wasn't there to help put that ribbon cable into the socket. It was actually there as like a shim, so it goes underneath, it goes on the back of the ribbon cable, and the thickness of it helps push the contacts up onto the contacts on the socket. And that ribbon cable was for the display board. So once I put that back in, the display came back, but the player still wasn't working. I had actually fixed the problem where that laser sled was bashing against the end of the travel, and it was that contact that I sprayed the contact cleaner on, that little switch. So that solved that problem, but I was still getting a TOC error, or an error where it couldn't read the table of contents. So let me show you that now while I'm talking 4 days later. So you put the disc in, it says TOC read for ages and then fails, and that got me into a lot more troubleshooting. I ended up something else was wrong other than that switch, and it's unusual to get two errors, two failures on a Minidisc player at one time. That switch was enough to mean that the Minidisc player couldn't work, and having cleared that up with contact cleaner, that leads to me seeing this other error, which is disc error, so it can't read the disc. There's nothing wrong with the disc because I've tested it with different discs, and I know those discs are good. But you can hear the player, there's no point in trying to let you hear it because it's very quiet, but you can hear the disc spinning, and you can hear the sled moving, and it does move back to the right position, but it just can't read the disc. So there's me thinking, right, well, maybe over the years this laser, I gave it another clean, and I even downloaded the service manual. And what I did was I figured out how to get into the service menu, and there's an auto calibration setting in there where you can put a pre-recorded shop bought album in and do some calibration of the read laser on that, and then put a one that you've recorded yourself in there, a recordable one in, and then it finishes off the calibration on that, so it can read both types of disc, the pre-pressed ones and the ones you record yourself. And I went right through the service manual and the service menu to do that, and I still had this problem where it can't read the discs. And at that point, this is how I left it. It was 2 AM and I had to be up at about 6 or 6:30 AM for a family day out. I was quite frustrated by that point. And the following day I couldn't work on it, nor the following day after that. And I got to work on it the day after that. And this is what I found. I was having a look at this thinking, what the hell could be wrong? And part of using the service manual is to put a pin in this reset hole. I had the back off at the time, so I didn't realise the reset hole. I knew it was there, but I didn't use it because I had the back off. I was just pressing a little contact underneath. And when I put the back on, I noticed that okay, fine, that's where you put your pin in to do a reset. And then I saw this. And what I realised is there's a screw missing on this. Now, when I'm buying players which are broken, the last thing I want is some moron like me has tried to fix them and completely broken them. So what I always do is I check the photos really carefully when I'm looking at the listings on eBay to make sure all the screws are intact and there's no rounding off of the screw heads. And when I went back and looked at the photos of the listing on this is the one I found. So this was the listing that was on eBay, and on there is the screw in place. So that made me think there's only one thing that could possibly have happened here, is the photos have been taken for selling this player, but after the photos have been taken, the seller has taken it to pieces to try and fix it. So what I did was I contacted the seller, and we had a lot of back and forth, and he said, basically, I'm happy if you want to return it, I'm happy to give you a refund. And now bearing in mind it was £6.50 and £3 postage, or £6 or £3.50 postage, I can't remember, £9.50 in total. So I had to think about it, slept on it, and I sent him a message saying, look, it's not worth the hassle. It's like less than a tenner. It's not worth the hassle for both of us for me to send it back and you to refund it. So I said, don't bother. We're not going to. We just won't take it any further. It's just I'll chalk it up to experience. And I did learn about the servicing menu and everything else, and learn about that switch to fix that knock-in as it was trying to return. Anyway, the guy was really decent about it. He apologised a couple of times, and in the end, after I'd said don't refund anything, we'll just call it, just chalk it up to experience, he actually refunded it and said don't send it back. It turns out he's actually watched a few videos on my channel as well. So I've now got a Minidisc player that I think was never going to get fixed anyway. But I have learnt a few things, but I did spend an awful lot of time on the video end of this. So it's not really a good use of my time, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things. And if I wasn't such a nerd, I wouldn't be trying to fix these things anyway. So unfortunately, this one is not working, and it is beyond my capabilities to fix. And the reason I wanted this originally was, if it was working, or I could get it working, which usually I can, I could then have a look at a solution for the proprietary batteries not working anymore, and you can't buy them anymore. Inside Out Electronics is also trying to find time to do a video for his workaround for this, and I've got my own workaround for it that I'd like to test. But in order to test it, I've got to buy some parts. The parts are about £20 in total, and I don't really want to be spending £20 on the parts to prove that my workaround will work if I haven't got a player that I can use that workaround on, or use those parts on. So what I'm hoping is Inside Out Electronics will be able to find time to do his video there'll be a link to his video about this. It's a JVC video, but the battery is the same for these Aiwas and the JVC ones he used. So there'll be a link for that in the description, as there always are links for everything in the description. So either he's going to find time to get his workaround video made, edited and up on YouTube, or I'm going to find one which is cheap enough and working that I'm happy to buy it and then try my workaround. So that's where we stand on this one. Long video, a bit of a epic video to shoot and edit, no doubt, and a bit of an epic fail at the end because I still haven't got a working Minidisc player. But there you go, it's just the way it goes sometimes. So thanks for watching, thanks for getting to the end. If you got to the end, put a comment in there saying epic, and then I will give that a heart. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.